Question 1. What is the primary problem that Privileged Identity Management, PIM, is designed to address? Option A. Managing shared account passwords and secrets for applications. Option B. Providing standing, just-in-case privileged access to users. Option C. Reducing the attack surface associated with permanent, elevated permissions. Option D. Encrypting data at rest and in transit within cloud environments. The correct answer is, quote, reducing the attack surface associated with permanent, elevated permissions. Here's the explanation. PIM's core purpose is to minimize the attack surface by transforming static, high-risk privileged access into dynamic, controlled, and auditable access, thereby reducing the window of opportunity for attackers. Question 2. A cloud administrator needs to perform a critical, sensitive task. Which PIM feature ensures that their elevated access is automatically removed after they complete the task, preventing privilege creep? Option A. Approval workflows. Option B. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, enforcement. Option C. Time-bound access / automatic de-elevation. Option D. Just enough access, JEA. The correct answer is time-bound access / automatic de-elevation. Here's the explanation. Time-bound access ensures that privileged access is automatically revoked after a specified duration, reverting users to their lower privilege state and preventing privilege creep or forgotten standing access. Question 3. Which statement accurately distinguishes cloud-native privileged identity management, PM, from traditional privileged access management, PM, tools like CyberArk or HashiCorp Vault? Option A. PIM primarily focuses on vaulting and rotating passwords for shared administrative accounts. Option B. PIM focuses on managing just-in-time activation of roles within the cloud provider's native IAM system. Option C. Traditional PAM tools are exclusively used for managing secrets for non-human identities. Option D. PIM provides comprehensive session recording capabilities for all privileged activities. The correct answer is PIM focuses on managing just-in-time activation of roles within the cloud provider's native IAM system. Here's the explanation. Cloud-native PIM primarily manages the just-in-time activation of identity-based roles for human and sometimes service identities, relying on the cloud's native IAM system. Traditional PAM tools often have a broader scope, including shared account password management and session recording. Question 4. An enterprise needs to apply a consistent set of Azure policies and role-based access control (RBAC) assignments across multiple subscriptions for different departments. What is the most effective Azure feature to achieve this centralized governance? Option A. Resource groups. Option B. Azure AD tenants. Option C. Management groups. Option D. Azure blueprints. The correct answer is management groups. Here's the explanation. Management groups are hierarchical containers that can encompass multiple subscriptions, allowing for centralized management of policies and access control, RBAC, at a level above subscriptions. This ensures consistent governance across departments. Question 5. A company wants to ensure that all new Azure storage accounts deployed in their subscription are configured to enforce HTTPS only. Which Azure governance tool should they use to audit and potentially enforce this standard at scale? Option A. Azure Role-Based Access Control, RBAC. Option B. Azure Resource Locks. Option C. Azure Policy. Option D. Azure Advisor. The correct answer is Azure Policy. Here's the explanation. Azure Policy helps enforce organizational standards and assess compliance at scale by defining rules on resource properties and configurations. RBAC controls who can do what, while Policy controls what resources look like. Question 6. What is the correct hierarchical order from the broadest scope to the most granular resource in Azure? Option A, Azure AD tenant to subscription to management group to resource group to resource. Option B, management group to Azure AD tenant to subscription to resource group to resource. Option C, Azure AD tenant to management group to subscription to resource group to resource. Option D, subscription to Azure AD tenant to management group to resource group to resource. The correct answer is Azure AD tenant to management group to subscription to resource group to resource. Here's the explanation. The foundational structure starts with an Azure AD tenant, which can be associated with multiple subscriptions. Management groups are optional and sit above subscriptions to organize them. Subscriptions contain resource groups, which in turn contain individual resources. Question 7. What is the primary function of an Azure subscription? Option A, it is a physical data center location within an Azure region. Option B, it serves as the primary unit for billing, resource deployment, and access management. Option C, it is a logical container for organizing virtual machines only. Option D, it defines the identity and access management system for all Azure services. The correct answer is, quote, it serves as the primary unit for billing, resource deployment, and access management. Here's the explanation. An Azure subscription is the fundamental logical container and administrative boundary for billing, resource deployment, and access management within Azure. Question 8. An Azure Administrator is setting up a new subscription. Which statement accurately describes the relationship between an Azure subscription and an Azure Active Directory, Azure AD tenant? Option A, an Azure subscription directly contains Azure AD users and groups. Option B, an Azure subscription is inextricably linked to a single Azure AD tenant for identity and access management. Option C, an Azure AD tenant can only be associated with one Azure subscription. Option D, Azure subscriptions manage identity and access independently of Azure AD. The correct answer is, an Azure subscription is inextricably linked to a single Azure AD tenant for identity and access management. Here's the explanation. Each subscription is inextricably linked to a single Azure Active Directory, Azure AD tenant, which provides the identity and access management services for that subscription. Question 9. A large organization wants to apply consistent governance policies and access controls across multiple Azure subscriptions. Which Azure organizational construct should they utilize? Option A, resource groups. Option B, resource providers. Option C, Azure policies. Option D, management groups. The correct answer is management groups. Here's the explanation. Management groups are hierarchical containers that sit above subscriptions, allowing for centralized governance, policy enforcement, and RBAC assignment across multiple subscriptions at scale. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.